Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden, and it is October 9th, YC127, and this is the Eve Universe Show. Welcome, 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 guys. How's it going? We are settling in for the day. It is, what is it? It's Thursday, but from my understanding, my son has tomorrow off, so this is like this is my Friday, more or less. So we're going to make sure that we get a stream done. I have two major objectives for today's stream. We're going to get two kind of segments out of today. The first is going to be that we are going to cover the slickest, smoothest, easiest way to get your points in the Crimson Harvest, even as an alpha. And then, I guess, to demonstrate that a little bit more while live, we will run a couple of sites while listening to the interview with Rycio Typho, who is, of course, the most connected person in all of New Eden now, having seeded every single wormhole in existence with his own clones, so that way he can log into any given wormhole within a matter of a couple minutes. We did do an interview with him. 07, he's in the chat right now. So we will be going over that. But before we do, I do want to cover a little bit more about the Crimson Harvest. The Crimson Harvest is obviously, like, we are well into... Wait. She? Wait. What do you mean she? What do you mean she? Anywho, it is good to see you guys. We are going to be covering the smoothest run that you can have in the Crimson Harvest. I have two different examples, or two different offerings for you today. One is a more simple one, and then one is this cushy little wonder of a ship that you see in front of you. Oh, that's right. That's right. You changed your in-game gender. I forgot about that. Okay, well, I generally refer to the person. I'm not getting into that right now. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our ideas for the Crimson Harvest. For newer players, I have two different... Really? Okay, fair enough. Rycio, I'll work on that. Why you gotta ambush me with that first thing in the street? You never bring up any of that during the interview. Anyway, whatever. We got a great interview for you today with him, her, whatever, with them. Ha! See, I'm going to use generic. This is why I used generic. Why you got to do this to me first thing? All right. I appreciate it. All right. Sorry. Without further ado, let's go ahead and cover the easiest way to get done with the the event challenges. So there is one thing. On the first day, we did talk about the new frigate and destroyer sites. However, it was, there was a bit of a problem where if anyone comes into the site after it's already begun, that it basically immediately fails. Now, that has been corrected. So basically, now, as long as somebody remains within the radius, the timer will continue, the site will continue, and everything's fine. So you can theoretically bring in friends. You could theoretically come in halfway and race the opponent or whatever. You know, like, it is more like a normal site. It doesn't automatically fail when somebody comes in anymore. It can still start its failure timer if you leave, if there's no player inside of the radius, that fail timer will still happen. But otherwise, it is relatively like a normal site. But to start with, our cheap alternative for newer players, or for alpha clones. This is one of our own named Clue was doing this with his alpha clone. I'm pretty sure he managed to do this without any modifications. There might be some fitting concerns going on here. If so, we could theoretically compact the heat sinks and a couple of other things. But overall, this fit will work. You will absolutely want to prioritize any of the ravenous ships, because those are going to be the ones that can newt. And the only real thing that can happen to this ship bad is theoretically getting neuted out. Now, you do have the cat battery to help prevent against that, so you've got some protections. But of course, if you are neuted out, you lose both your guns and your reppers. So that is the one thing that you pretty much have to avoid. But you know, we've had people doing this on alpha clones and getting it done. The big thing here is the damage, because you want to kill things before they can like really start to apply to you. Yeah, when neuted out, ships can get into real trouble real quickly. Yes, it is true. And like I said, you pretty much have to like at least prioritize those ravenous. But as long as you do that, you should be fine. I'm just saying, like, that's the one big threat, or the one threat that really goes after this ship. Just to remind you that standard S does take less capacitor than the other ones. So if you are having incapacitor issues, or if for some reason something gets out of your range, because like if we go here, we can see, I love Eve Workbench. They did such a good job with this. You can see here that my with my lasers, oh, does it not have the optimals? It does not. That's too bad. Well, with this laser, you have, I think, 7 to 9 kilometers. So this should hit everything within the room just fine. But if you absolutely have to, you can always switch to standard, which does lower the DPS a little bit. But remember, you're basically killing everything in 1 to 2 cycles. So that's really what matters. You've got your tracking computer. You can leave that unscripted, because you both need to be able to track and shoot a little bit farther. So that can be fine too. And this is a pretty decent fit. You just basically slow boat into the hole. It uses the same strategy as my other ship, but there you go. There is a fit out there that I saw that uses beam lasers. I'm not a big fan of that one, just because beam lasers are going to do a little bit less damage and also have worse tracking. And since the fact that you can hit basically everything in here just fine, especially with standard, but even with conflag, this should be sufficient. And so I'd prefer pulses just for application and damage over beams. But yeah, the lap of luxury. Let's say you want to, I like to spend a little bit of money in game in order to feel a little cushier. Bling things out here and there to make it a little bit better. And the best way that I have found to bling things up is through the ship itself, right? Like, blinged out modules are kind of dangerous because they have a tendency to also paint a giant target on your head. You know, if you put on a X-type armor repper, like that's going to be a few $100 million. It's almost definitely worth ganking you in order to get that. But if the value is in the ship and not the modules, then even if you get ganked, sure, they get a nice kill mail, but they don't get your stuff. Which brings me to the Mecha Ball. Okay, so the biggest problem, and this is actually true about the Coercer Navy issue too, although I didn't put in the fit and I should. If you look at this Mecha Ball, it has a mobile tractor unit. So day one, we were doing a retribution. But the biggest problem that I had with the retribution was that it has 130 meters cubed cargo bay, which means if you want to carry a mobile tractor unit, which takes 100 M3, then that only leaves you with 30 left, which even if you basically carry no crystals with you is not enough cargo space. You've got to dump it all the time in order to keep it going. The Coercer Navy issue is nice because it has a cargo of 375 M3, which is going to give it plenty of time for both the, or plenty of room for both the ammo and for a mobile tractor unit. This is useful because the mobile tractor unit, because you want to kill the shuttles, but you can't go after them, and you want to leave the site as soon as it's done. So it'd be so much better if you could just drop a mobile tractor unit at the beginning, let them all suck it up, grab it right before the squall, and then grab the squall and leave. That is the optimal thing to do. So this Coercer Navy issue has enough room to be able to carry that tractor unit, as does the Mecha Ball. The Mecha Ball has 400 meters cubed, so it's got an even larger cargo bay. Now, the big thing is that the Courser Navy issue does have the ability to have a lot less cargo in the fact of the crystals, but this gets made up for by the Mecha Ball's increased range. Also, the Mecha Ball can shoot EM damage, right? You could theoretically bring hail or whatever, but I found that hail wasn't even that effective. This pure EM 329 damage versus 487, 219. The thing is that with these differences, it almost doesn't matter because the things are dying so fast. They're dying within 1 to 3 cycles, basically, given any given weapon system, or as long as you're hitting them. And so, for the most part, these two ships, like the damage is effectively equivalent. Now, theoretically speaking, if both of these ships were against each other in a race, I think theoretically speaking, the Courser Navy issue could still win versus the Mecha Ball. Although if the Mecha Ball brought in hail, maybe it would be a little bit different. But either way, it doesn't matter. This is not the Crimson Gauntlet. This is specifically the Class 2 site, which appears in all areas of space. Theoretically speaking, the Mecha Ball could probably do the Class 3 site, but I haven't quite tried it. The Crimson Gauntlet sites require somewhere either a hack or a battle cruiser or a battleship, okay? But the problem with those is that there's a lot of racing involved, there's time involved with those, and the ships that are involved with them are quite expensive. This ship is going to be basically as expensive as a lot of the nicer battle cruisers or even battleships that are going to be used. It's actually less than 200 million total. The Courser Navy issue is going to be your more budget version at 65 million, which is, by the way, like 4 or 5 sites, you're done. But there can do newts first, depending on ship you fly. So the Mecha Ball is actually a passive ship, basically. Like, you do have your hardeners that can get turned off, but a lot of your tank comes from this medium shield extender, and your ammunition doesn't take any cap. So, yes, you can actually we had people 3-man the T3 sites and Punishers, so you can absolutely do that. The thing is about this ship right here is that this is designed to be the lap of comfort, okay? There are some try-hardness, you know, there's a little bit of priorities here and there, but ultimately this ship doesn't need to worry about these priorities. It's so chill that I ended up putting an auto-targeter on in the highs, because I became so lazy that I, rather than hold down control and click all the things, which also has the chance of accidentally being interpreted as an approach command, which causes you to move and possibly fail the site, instead, I just have an auto-targeter. And as soon as something spawns, I just hit that auto-targeter and it's good to go. So before we actually go try to find a site, I wanted to show you a video that that I recorded yesterday of running the site, just so we can like zoom in on certain concepts and really break down the entire site, so that way you know step by step exactly how to run it. Even though, like I said, with this ship, it almost runs itself. So here we go. This is my Mecha Ball. The one that we were just looking at yesterday, and we are heading into the site here. At the start of the site, there is a, like I said, there's the ring of different structures, and then there's a giant structure in the middle. You can even see it on your overview if you examine this. It's called the Cognitive Calibration Tower, I think it is called. If you don't have these on the overview, I think these are large collidable objects. So you just simply approach, and then as soon as you get within, as soon as you get to 0 on the thing, you can just take your mobile tractor unit. You do not need a pack rat. Just a normal mobile tractor unit is sufficient. You can drag and drop it into space in order to deploy it when you get to 0. That will deploy it somewhere within the ring. And then you can see that I just activate my auto-targeter, and then a few seconds later, boop, all of the guys start spawning in. And literally, so I just hit F2 to target them all, and then I just keep on hitting F1, 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 F1. I'm not moving. I'm not doing anything else I am just shooting them one at a time and using the auto-targeter to lock them. Now, what's really nice is that even when the Garmers spawn, most of the time, because the Garmers are slightly larger signature radius than the Ventures, you'll see actually that a lot of the time the Garmers will be the first thing to lock, which means that they are automatically the thing that are being targeted. So you don't even have to like make a momentary change or anything like that. I also really love this skin. I'm just going to take this moment to point out I love this skin and I love this ship and I love any excuse to be able to use it. And unfortunately, there's not enough of those. So that's one of the reasons I'm really excited about this event. You can see I popped the shuttles, even the shuttles that get slightly far away because of the way fall off nature of the turrets and the fall off bonus of the mecha ball. I can still hit those shuttles even when they get pretty far away, as well as just ripping apart these Ventures as they get close. Now, this kind of continues until we get to just about the 280-second mark or so. And so we see here that there's a spawn that happens at the 250, I think it is, 270. So right around that 300-second mark, give or take, 10, 20 seconds, you will get this spawn here, which is a double spawn. Now, usually the spawns will happen on either the left side or the right side. We can see like this spawn here spawned on the left side predominantly, and then this spawn here, this spawn here spawn on the right side predominantly. But then when it does the double spawn at 300 seconds, oops, my bad. Sorry. Either way, whatever. Most of the time it either spawns on the left side or the right side predominantly. When it does the double spawn, it will spawn on both sides at the same time. And so at 300 seconds, give or take, there will be this double spawn, and that's the first opportunity that I like to blow up one of the lightning bolts. You don't actually have to at this time. I know some people that save both of them for later, but you have basically one freebie, and I like to use it during the double spawn. So you can see that this double spawn happens. I immediately blow that up, and it kills a whole bunch of the guys, leaving only the right side. There's a couple of the ones that were too far away on the left side that didn't make it, but in general, I just got them all and then proceed to keep on killing. Not got them all, but got half of them, and then proceed to keep on killing. This kind of goes on the same until you get to about 480 seconds, which if you think about it is 2 minutes before the end of the event, where you can see right here at 478, so somewhere between 470 and 480 seconds, so right before the 2 minutes to the end mark, we have the Orthrus spawn, which is also either a double spawn or like happens right after another spawn. So that is the other time that I like to use one of the lightning bolts. I do know like Dutch Gunner, for example, I talked to him and he preferred to actually kill the 300 second spawn, just old school, go down the list and save both of the explosion barrels for the Orthrus spawn. Really, either way is good. Doesn't really matter. Depends on personal preference. But the point is that these are the kind of the 2 points of time where you have to be paying attention. Other than that, you're just watching for the shuttle spawning, grabbing them and shooting them. Especially with the mecha ball, like you are so stable that you can basically stop. Like the number one priority is shuttles. Even if you have like a double spawn and the Orthrus, if the shuttle spawns at the same time, I still go after the shuttle every single time, and it's fine. So now that the Orthrus spawn has been finished, we're getting pretty close to the end here. And during this final 30 seconds, 2 different things can happen. Now, in this version, actually kind of worst case scenario happens. So you can see here that I'm starting to loot at about the 550 mark because I want to loot the MTU. I try to scoop the MTU at the 590 mark. Now, there is a final shuttle that can spawn. And if you get that early enough, you can shoot it, and then the MTU can scoop it up, and you can be fine. But the bottom line is that you pretty much want to have the MTU fully scooped before or before you go after the squall, because the idea is that once the squall is dead, you want to be able to just loot the squall and get out of there. In this case, a final shuttle does spawn, and I just have to make the choice to slow boat to that shuttle. This happens fairly rarely. Most of the time, it's only 4 spawns per site. Every once in a while, like every 5 to 10 sites, you will get one that spawns in the end like this as a little bonus one. They're not anything special compared to any of the other shuttles. It just happens to be the way that the timer works out. So you can see that I'm getting ready now. It's at 580. So I try to kill the shuttle in time, but I realize that there's no way I'm going to be able to kill the shuttle and scoop the thing and everything else before the guy shows up. So I just decide to scoop the MTU, and I start heading towards the wreck. But then when the spawn happens, I just decide to go after the spawn and go and kill them. And then go and slow boat to the wreck. So it's just this easy, guys. As you saw, like there's a couple of times where I make little manual choices to go after the ravenous one first, or to like for instance, right after the double spawn, there's a spawn which spawns a whole bunch of ventures, and then a few seconds later, the Garmer spawns. That's another really good opportunity to manually target the Garmer, so that way the Garmer dies first. The fun thing about using the auto-targeter is that the auto-targeter takes longer to lock everything, because it takes the full cycle of the auto-targeter. It targets everything at the end of the cycle. So as soon as everybody spawns, you can just hit the auto-targeter, because they'll start attacking you by the time it's over, and then you just lock up. Then it'll start the process of locking them all. But that means that if like a Garmer or a shuttle spawns at that same time, and you manually start to lock those, that will come first. So that's a good way to prioritize things. And then, yeah, so I go over and scoot over and grab that last wreck, and then call it a day. And that is it. That's it. 30 points for the site, 10 minutes to complete it. 0 stress, basically. Theoretically speaking, somebody might be able to come in and race it. I haven't tried the Mecha Ball racing against other things. But like I said, that Coercer Navy issue that we posted earlier should be able to do it effectively the same. It's just this one feels a little bit cushier. It's worth noting that both the Coercer Navy issue and the Mecha Ball, even though they are by their very nature a little bit blingy in the fact that they're Navy and Pirate, it is worth noting that the Coercer Navy issue can be gotten through doing Amar faction warfare, and the Mecha Ball can be gotten by doing Angel insurgencies. Both of these are relatively, like, it would take maybe an hour or two, if you don't know what you're doing, to get enough loyalty points for either of these two things. The Mecha Ball also comes with, or like with the loyalty points, you can get the other piece that's required for this, the net resonators. Those are just more LP. So you can just earn yourself a little bit of LP, build yourself a Mecha Ball, and then go have fun. So hopefully this is enough for you guys to be able to go out there and have fun. I've said before that other events were the easiest event for alpha clones. I think that this one is by far the easiest events for alpha clones to complete. Not only do you have an entire type of site, the Tech 1 site, or the Class 1 site that can be done in Tech 1 frigates, and most people are probably going to just avoid, but even all 3 of the frigate destroyer sites can be done with alpha-friendly ships, including the Class 2s being done with 2. Compared to Drifter Wormhole Tourism, I still say it is, because the Drifter Wormhole Tourism required a certain amount of like coordination ahead of time. Like, the nice thing about Drifter Wormhole Tourism was that it scaled up, right? You could just hitch a ride with someone if they were doing it, and therefore a lot of people could all do it at the same time. But if you thought about it as only one person trying to get it done themselves, I think that this is a lot smoother, especially since you're going to get all of the loot and all of the rewards and all of the other stuff that you get for completing the site. Like, you're actually running the sites as opposed to circumventing doing the content by doing the Drifter Tourism. But yeah, so like, this is actually a place for alphas to engage with, as opposed to just blast through the track. So in order to kind of show this off now, we are going to now transition So if you're watching this for the guide, this should be about it. If you're watching the edited version, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what ships you are doing the Crimson Harvest in, and how far along are you. But if you're watching this live, hang tight. We've got more to go. If you're watching this recorded, thank you for watching. I've been Ashrothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about since 2012, and I'm here to put even the context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Thank you guys for checking it out and liking this the video. Hope you learned something new, and until next time, I'll see you in space. Ooh. All right, transitions are nice. Yeah. All right. Now then, so in order to show off kind of how easy this is, we're going to go out, we're going to find some sites, and we're going to run some sites. And at the same time, I've got an interview with Rycio Typho that I'm going to be playing in the background. And we can pull stuff up if I need to show some stuff off from it or whatever. We did this interview on Saturday. I edited it, and I was going to make it like a whole, like I was going to make an edited video for it or whatever. And then I thought like, hey, wait a minute, why don't I just start this new practice of like, I can just make something like the video for this for the event site, and then I can show it off on stream as a way of like, that's my way of making an edited video. So here we go. We're going to do some sites while listening to my interview with Rycio Typho. And then both of these sections can be edited out and put in their own segment. So let's see, this should... Oh no, hold on. Let us just pull this off the screen. There we go. Now you can hear it without seeing it. And if anyone has any questions, I'll gladly attempt to answer them. Yes, we can pause this if we need to. We can talk about stuff. I've got Rycio in the chat with us now. So, but let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, I have here Rycio Typho. Is that correct?
Rycio Typho.
Rycio Typho. Cool. And how long have you been playing Eve?
For about 10 years. Well, 10 and a half.
Okay. And so you and I are talking today because you were recently in the news for accomplishing a fairly monumental task in Eve. There's lots of different goals and things to accomplish. And, you know, it's obviously a sandbox game, so people can kind of set their own rules. Famously, about a decade ago, we had NPSI, who went to every single system in the game that is accessible to players, which was really, really cool. So you've been playing since then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have created your own accomplishment, which I actually originally misreported as being a part of Signal Cartel, like with NPSI, but you said that you did it mostly by yourself, right? So what exactly
Correct.
have you done?
Well, at first I was just visiting. When I saw Katya's achievement, I thought I opened my map at the visited system, and I thought, that already looks pretty completed. Let's visit all systems. So I did that, and after that was easy enough. I thought, let's make it a bit more difficult. So I jumped every Stargate, and after I'd done that, I thought, let's do another difficult thing. Well, difficult.
Hold on. So jump every Stargate. So that means that, like, so you went to every single system, but each system has multiple connections. So each individual system connection. So instead of every dot, it's every line. How do you even track that you've done that?
Well, the client writes chat logs, and the local chat logs also tells you were in that system, then you were in that system. And so I knew, okay, I jump between these two systems. And then I wrote a small program which analyzes all my log files and, counts everything.
You wrote a program to parse your logs to figure out what jumps you've made.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So hold on. What did you write that in?
In C#.
In C#. Are you like a programmer in Realsy World?
Yeah. I'm a software developer, so yeah. It's not too difficult, but yeah.
A lot of this makes a lot more sense now. Okay, so you've done every single system, and then you did every single jump between systems verified by your parsing of the logs. When was that you finished that?
1 second.
Roughly.
I have that written down in my character bio in game, and I jumped all Stargates finished jumping all Stargate on the 14th of March 2021, and
Okay.
after
So in 2021, you completed your job, and then you were like, what's next?
and then I docked in every station, which was pretty easy all in all. And after that I was looking at the next challenge which I could do, and I thought, there are these alpha clones now, and
Just a fair warning. Ricio's definition of easy and our definition of easy are two different things.
and quite a number of wormholes. Let's see how much work that would be to keep alive. And that only turned out to a few hours per week at most. And so I thought, So I created my the CEO of the.
So people talk about like is per hour or how much time they have to put into something. You're saying several hours a week, but that's not to actually do anything. That's literally just to be able to keep the guys in the wormholes, right?
Yes, just to keep them in the wormholes.
You told me that after 210 days, they get moved out of the wormhole. How do you even know that? Like, I didn't know that.
There is a page on the support website, which I could give you a link.
So you did your homework and you found out that if a dude is left in a wormhole or somewhere for 210 days, that they get automatically moved back to HiSec or their home station or whatever. Okay. How many dudes do you have?
2,610 characters for that project.
2,000. Hold on. How many?
2,610.
2,610 that have to be logged in
a-
at least once every 210 days.
Yes.
And otherwise, you just have a dude in every wormhole. Are you planning on doing the whole like logging them in every 210 days, or is the accomplishment sufficient?
Well, I put them in like 1.5 years ago. Well, 1 year ago, 2 years ago.
Oh,
And so I already did a couple vlog rounds.
okay.
And since I have the full 30 seconds and otherwise I just am bored like for half the time, I started bookmarking all citadels I see.
All the what?
Also
Citadels,
wormhole
all the
citadels.
structures. All
Yeah,
right. All right.
That is one shared folder of 500 bookmarks for C1 and C combined, one for C6, and for C2, 4, and 5, I have 2 shared folders each.
I mean, one could argue that this gives you the single most powerful intel network in the entire game. Do you plan on using this to any sort of advantage?
I thought about it, but well, if I, for example, make it sell Wormhole and location service, that would put my scouts at quite some risk, because when somebody knows I'm going to be there the next, I don't know, week, then they can have combat probes and everything ready, and then it's easy enough to catch them. So I'm not really planning it for now.
Well, I mean, I suppose so. But I mean, at the same time, if somebody wanted to just buy the way towards a specific wormhole location, like if somebody wants to evict somebody, that must be a very powerful tool. Are you open to offers?
Well, I thought, well, if somebody's giving me 100 billion, then I'm pretty unlikely to say no.
There we go. So we got a cost. All right, fair enough. 100 billion is for you right now. You can find any wormhole that you want. No questions asked.
I think for the lower class wormholes, I might go as low as twice the wingspan price, and still.
Ricio in chat says he just made the number up. Well, yeah, that's how most business works. People just make up a number and then see if it flies. By the way, I do apologize a little bit about the audio levels. Like, I'm a little bit quiet. He's a little bit loud. Look, I didn't quite record it right. I'll do better in the future. It's been a while since I've done a good interview. So, yeah.
It'll take like 1 week to slot it into my schedule without giving them too much ease for catching that scout.
Yeah.
But
I'm just thinking about
not...
things like initiative evicting hard knocks, right? For some big organizations to be able to quietly find any given wormhole without rage rolling has to be one of the most valuable things in the whole game.
Well, rage rolling is surprisingly easy. So
rage rolling is surprisingly easy.
Although it's also like the guy who has gone into each individual wormhole singularly saying that rage rolling is easy is like, well, yeah, it is by the time you get that good at it, it is. That's true. Do you have a favorite wormhole?
Well, there's a wormhole J22222. Makes it pretty easy to remember.
That's a good one. All right. Do you know what type of wormhole it is?
I can find it out really quickly.
I'm sure you can.
It's a C3 with low sex static. And I have the character AMP Setchwell Kevin Guang in there.
That actually brings up a really interesting point, which is that, so I thought about doing this in like the Faction Warfare Warzone. like you would just name your different accounts the different things that they go into or whatever. But like, do you have an organizational method? If I knew, it's like, oh, I want you to find, the Sancha Shattered Wormhole. Like, how long would it take for you to go through your guys? Do you have like a giant spreadsheet to figure it out, or like, how
I
do you
have
have it all organized?
I have a really large spreadsheet, and I can give you maybe a few screenshots which have some information redacted because information like account names or emails is not something which I want in the public.
Well, yeah. No, provide me whatever, and I can put it.
All right, I have those screenshots. Hold on, let me pull those up real quick. Shoot, should have done that ahead of time. And I think this one's good. Let me double check. Yeah. So we can see here, like this is one of his spreadsheets. And it says like last login roughly. I assume this is because it's like all in the same corporation or something, and because that last login is text that's from the Eve client itself. So you can see like he just has a giant spreadsheet that keeps track of what ship they're in, where their location is in, although he's got all of those redacted, of course. And then over here we have all of the different account names, character names, wormholes, etc., with his totals over here. So pretty crazy spreadsheet. Thank you for sharing it with me. Now on with the show.
On the screen as we are talking, but yeah, I'm sure it's a lot of work, and I definitely wouldn't want it to be undone just to some OPSEC violation or something. But I guess it does make sense that your characters are not necessarily named in an obvious way, so that way people don't see them.
And when I was
Memberless
creating
with the
these
corp, yeah.
accounts or characters, I didn't even know into which wormhole that specific character was going to be. So
That's
it
fair.
made no sense to name them J125X789. I don't know if that exists.
Oof, that is rough. Well, I mean, like, one of the things I'm interested in doing is like running every wormhole site, because I want to try to see whether or not there's any, like, because there's a lot of secret weird stuff inside of the wormholes after the puzzle box with the introduction of Anoikis. Have you, like, do you live in wormholes, or is this just totally a separate thing for you?
That's pretty much an entirely separate thing. Well,
What are you with an alliance or anything?
Well, my corp is sadly not quite active anymore, so but yeah, I'm basing out of Cheetah. I have one character solo PvPing in a character, which is also quite fun. Not as much recently, but I think I'm seven best character pilot or something.
You're quite the achiever. So okay, where do you fly the caracal in? Are you in faction warfare or?
I filament out of Cheetah into Nullsec and just go at it and hope to kill as much as possible before I die, because I don't want to be done.
I see. And of course, like it's not like you can get caught in a wormhole, like trapped. If you find a wormhole, you can always find your way out pretty easily.
Yeah, that's super easy for me.
Very interesting, very interesting. I guess what's next? If you are always taking on the next big challenge, and you've accomplished these other big, like, do everything, you have a dude in every wormhole. What's next?
Well, I'm kinda sorta planning to make a speedrun and visiting all systems without dying, and that would be a lot easier for me compared to everybody else.
Kind of pre-mapped it out, right?
Yeah, well, sadly, the scanning with Alpha Scout sucks quite a bit, but
That's fair.
well, finding the last, I don't know, 20 wormholes, that is the really difficult part. The part before that is only difficult. Well, the first 1,000 wormholes are pretty easy. After that, it gets gradually more difficult. But yeah, the last dozen systems, that took several months for me. So, and
Do you have any
yeah.
impacts as you were trying to do this? Any
Oops,
like, what was
hold
the
on.
most exciting wormhole to try to seed?
Yeah, it was in a wormhole with several months for me. So, and
Do you have any
yeah.
interesting stories or significant setbacks as you were trying to do this? Any like, what was the most exciting wormhole to try to seed?
Yeah, I was in a wormhole with a scout and was looking around and saw combat probes, and I thought, yeah, let's have some fun. So I started scanning around with that scout, and unfortunately, I warped to a wormhole which had a bubble in it, so I got a bit too close, and that character died. Well, the ship. So I quickly that was in a wormhole to known space. So I quickly made a few screenshots of the wormhole where it was going to, got that capsule into safety again somehow. No idea how they didn't got that. And so on my main account,
I actually need to pause this right here because this is a question that I didn't really bring up at the time. It didn't occur to me at the time, but since you're here, I'm going to bring up like, so you said that you took screenshots to figure out what constellation it was at. You're talking about the actual wormhole itself, right? Because like when you pull up a wormhole, you can look at the wormhole and see the skybox on the other side of the wormhole. And so like good wormholers can use that to detect where the other thing is. But you're not talking about like jumping through and checking. You're literally just like, I looked at the wormhole, realized where it was, and so went there. That is wild, by the way. I mean, like, obviously totally doable. Absolutely something that can be done. But since he's explaining this with, or he, she, they, since they are explaining this with such like nonchalance, I want to point out how incredible some of these acts of piloting and navigation actually are.
I looked at the map and I knew, okay, it must be somewhere in these few dozen constellations. Let's scan my way back in. So I scanned like almost, I think, 4 or 5 constellations. And then I got my main character with a covert ops scanning ship back into the wormhole and searched the back door into that wormhole and got a new ship for my seed in there again.
I guess it just goes to show that, like, if somebody is truly dedicated and slippery, it's really hard to stop them. Like, especially if they know how to use their intel the way that is. Like, you know, you once you've identified that connection, that's why, like, when you're living in a wormhole, like, if you have any kind of question of like security breach, the very first thing is you roll the hole, because that way you would have had more difficulty getting back in, right?
Oh yeah, that would have been a lot more difficult. Otherwise, I would have just waited until I randomly went into that wormhole again.
Have you made any friends during this process?
Well, there was one time, while I was seeding the wormhole, I was also talking in local a bit, and one time somebody said, "Oh hey, I lost my ship. I don't know a way out. Can you help me?" So that was, I think, in a C5 or something. So I said, "Okay, I can scan down the wormholes, give you a choice where you want to jump to, and when you're on that other system, I can help you scan out of there too." So I scanned, I think, 3 wormholes. They had a choice between, I think, I don't know, C2, C5, and C6. So they jumped into C2, told me the system name. They said, "Okay, I will be right back with you. You will get a convo with that character in just a bit. Please hold the line." And select that character and scan them out of there. And they were really happy.
That is wild. I'm sorry, like, I don't feel like I remember the answer. What is your like next big thing now?
I do want to pause this really quick just to talk about the sites. Just to remind you, one of the ways, like in this system, there are 2 class 2 biocybernetic incident sites, but on the overview, there is only 1 beacon at first. So like with faction warfare sites, it will stay on it will not be on the overview until the very first person warps to it. So with that in mind, you can just like, you can check to see which sites have been, at least like somebody warped to them in time. And then from there, make choices. Like, so one of them was started, one of them was not started. So I went to the one that wasn't started, hoping that the other person will respect my my choice and then not come in later. But yeah, that's a good way to like know whether or not a site is started or not. When you warp to it, it will appear on the overview. If no one's warped to it yet, then it's not on the overview.
Visiting every system without dying, and as
Oh,
quickly
right.
as
Okay. You've done it with dying. Now you want to do it again without dying.
Yep. Don't have a start date set yet, or well, maybe before FanFest, but I'm not sure yet.
Is anything that's coming up or been announced or been talking about with Eve, like with the Gold Rush or the map stuff, is any of that particularly interesting to you because of all of this?
Well, the 2D map makes plotting the quickest path a lot easier, but I might also attempt to write my own program, which does help there, hopefully, but not sure yet.
Do you have any goals to be like that are closer to like what I guess most players would expect? Like, do you want to own a structure or, you know, do anything big and scary or run a fly Titan or anything? Or is it just like you like doing these like mapping sort of situations?
I want to find my small niche, and I think big ships are boring because first they cost too much and you can only have fun once or something like that. And if you have, for example, the Caracal, and when I whelp 100 of them, yeah, that's not too super expensive, and I can whelp another 100.
What do you do most of your exploration in? I assume not the Caracal, right? Most of your wormhole
Yeah.
hunting?
Well, for the exploration, I'm currently using the Helios because, yeah, at first I was using the Astero, and yeah, then the Helios got the nullification, and yeah, the nullification makes things a lot easier. Because one time I was flying around my Astero, got into a pocket, and when I tried to get out, there were like 10 ships waiting with sabers and everything, so I thought, well, let's better quickly jump back. But by the time I jumped back, the other side also had like 10 people waiting there with bubbles and everything. And I spawned inside the bubble again, so bad situation because I knew when I tried to burn out full speed, I will get tackled and die. So I jumped back to across the gate for like 10 minutes till I spawned just outside the bubble, and then I warped off.
Nice.
Once again, amazing piloting. That is a great job, like assessing the situation and doing what it takes in order to survive. People should probably take note of these kinds of things. Yeah, just crashing the gate, continuing to respawn, making it so that they have to split their forces on both sides. And eventually you appear in a place that's more advantageous to you and you just get away. Good piloting.
So do you do actual exploration? Are you a big fan of like the hacking minigame and doing normal exploration, or is this a totally separate thing?
I didn't do it too much recently, but I quite enjoy it. And I also really love to run the sleeper caches. They are an interesting minigame.
Good money too.
Oh yeah. Once I found a sleeper cache and I think I had like 600 million just in the blue loot. And when I was exploring a couple years ago in the Tron regions, I found like BPCs which were like 5 billion. But yeah, that's only once every year or something like that.
Yeah. So how much into the like lore and stuff of the game are you?
I love to follow it, and for that news article which came out recently, I actually got in contact with the community team, and they thought I asked, how can the thing I did be put into the lore somehow?
So you reached out to them.
Yes.
Okay. And so there's been the Drifter Crisis, which was kind of the big lore thing that's been going on. And that included a competition where the players were able to help. There's 10 different groups that were trying to gain control over the 5 Drifter wormholes. And in the end, only 5 groups were able to succeed. That ended up being the 4 major empires, except for the Gallente, the Triglavians, and the Edencom. And the Gallente, this has been kind of a setback for the Gallente. They've had kind of a rough time of it for the last several years since Uprising for a combination of reasons that I've talked about before. But in this case, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this was presented in the New Eden News as like the Gallente almost taking some sort of strange credit for the work that you've done.
Well, that
go
was my idea. That was my idea to put that like research in help of the Galante Federation.
So are you pro Gallente in general, or do you just
Yes.
like, are you trying to help them as an underdog?
I'm
You've
really
always-
pro Galante. If you look at my character avatar, I have a Galante t-shirt and Galante background, so yep.
Even though you fly caracals out of Jita.
Yeah, that is mostly for the ease of logistics, but yeah, my main love to fly the Helios.
Do you have any thoughts about the Gallente presidential election or the lack thereof?
I think, yeah. How I said in the news article,
You were very diplomatic in the
Yeah.
in the New Eden News.
Yeah, that was yeah. I think there should be new elections, but yeah, sometimes you can't see all the reasons why something is not happening, but it should happen again, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do think it's a weird note just from a player or from a storytelling point of view, having it not be or having it be this thing in limbo is kind of weird for storytelling, but hopefully it makes it make some sort of sense in the end. You said, quote, "In hard times, difficult decisions must be made. I am here to celebrate scientific achievement, not to judge whether other decisions would have been better. I'm sure the president did what she judged to be best for all citizens of the Federation." A very diplomatic post, although it's interesting to note that basically that means that you had all of these wormholes mapped before the Drifter Crisis even really played out, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I assume that the Drifter holes are included in your every wormhole that you have seeded.
They are.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, I keep coming back to this, but I guess like what's next for you like in the immediate? you've gotten some 5 minutes of fame from this whole Yantey presidential thing. Are you going to become more active in that regard, or are you hoping to fade back into the background until you can accomplish the next big thing?
That's one thing I'm not quite sure yet, but I surely try to help the Galente in the not most obvious ways, as let's put it at that.
Well, very cool. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking to me. And, like I said, I originally accidentally thought I confused you with a different effort that I'd heard about from a few years ago that was associated with Signal Cartel. You said you did it basically all by yourself.
Yep. And the other project was Project Compass, I think, when...
Well, no, that was way older. That was old. So Project Compass was part of the Erladis project, which was back in late 2011, which was attempting to figure out where Anoikis is physically in space. That was done by Mark 726.
Yep.
That was slightly different. No, I remember there was somebody, I had heard that somebody was attempting to seed all of the wormholes. I thought I had heard a couple years ago that they were associated with Signal Cartel. So it might have even been you, and I was just wrong. I'm willing to admit that I was wrong.
Well, I was not super secret about it, so that might have been me.
Yeah, it probably was you, and I just was misassumed or something like that, and I do apologize for that. But I do appreciate you coming in to my Discord and correcting me and coming on and chatting. Is there anything else that you want to say or anybody you want to shout out or anything?
Well, that was Katja C, because when I heard about that, that was the sparking platform I some would call it stupid achievements, but don't think they're stupid.
When Katja Sai did this, CCP even brought them to Polaris as kind of a special thing and put up a monument for them. Are you expecting or hoping any more formal recognition besides just the New Eden News?
I would love it, but maybe at the next stupid thing which I'm not have yet figured to do.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to go to FanFest or anything where they might recognize you there?
Well, I'm surely planning to go to FanFest. Already have booked some things, so would be kind of sad if I couldn't get there. I'm also going to EVE Amsterdam this November, so if somebody wants to talk about that, you can book me there.
Your accent does make that sound a lot more local to you.
Getting to Amsterdam is a lot easier than getting to Iceland.
I imagine so. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
Can't think of anything right now.
All right. Well, I'm sure if anybody wants to, they can ask questions down below, and you can always come and answer it, or they can talk to you in the Discord or whatever. But I do appreciate you coming and saying hi and telling me about this stuff. This is a really cool idea, really cool accomplishment. And I think that, like I said, I think that the key to all of this, the thing that's really interesting to me is that, like, these big accomplishments are very cool, but in this case, this is something incredibly powerful. The fact that this network exists, the fact that you exist, regardless of what you choose to do with it, will change the balance of power, at least on some level, within the game. Wormholes are basically their unpredictability, and the difficulty to find a wormhole becomes a big piece to how wormhole living works. And so just the fact that you exist in the world changes people's calculus one way or another. So thank you for shaping the sandbox in your own little way.
And I have, well, when I was last year at FanFest, last year, I also talked with some of the devs and asked them if they knew about it. And one of the funniest things was when I was talking to CCP Jotun, and I said, what would you think if there would be a theoretical person which has a character in every wormhole? He said that person would be scary. And after I said, well, I am that person, he pretty much ran away and said that he was really scared of me. And when
I don't think that it's over-exaggeration to say that you probably have the single most powerful intel tool in the entire game at this point. But
and the fun thing is, I was also talking with the data guys. That was CCP estimate. And when I told him that, he turned to CCP Larrikin, was talking about that really excitedly, and CCP Larrikin only just started laughing. And yeah, I don't even want to know how many.
Have you reported your characters? Has CCP figured it out, do you think?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Before I started the project, I contacted CCP and said, I have this idea. Would it be okay if I start it? Because I don't want to get banned midway, because that would be quite sad. So they said, yeah, okay, go ahead and just don't automate any stuff and you're okay. And a couple months
That's
in,
wild.
yeah, a couple months in, I one day logged in and I saw, there's a message of a GM. They were asking, well, that GM was asking, what the hell are you doing? And that's it. And they said, yeah, I'm just sitting every wormhole. And they said, okay, keep going, have fun with it.
Wait, maybe I already asked this, but how long did it take from like when you decided that you were going to start seeding every wormhole to when it was complete?
Well, the seeding process only took like 1.5 years. Well,
Oh,
only.
only. But you're saying like probably at first you just knocked them out left and right, and then the last few probably took the
Yes,
lion's share of the work.
yeah, I think the last few took like 2 months so that's kind of annoying.
Yeah. So even if you know, like, I need a C2, I can pick a wormhole that has a C2 static, but you have a bunch of alphas with like crap ships probably. So it's not like you can roll a whole, you can't rage roll randomly,
Well,
right?
well, I can get in my main characters, which at the time I had like 6 Omega characters. Well,
Sure.
Omega accounts. So I could rage rule if I wanted to be, but
Well, you'd have to still put in the, like, you'd have to figure out where you are, bring that other guy in, and then start doing the rage rolling. I mean, like, I'm just saying it's not as simple as you would like it to be.
well, when I just was trying to get into every wormhole the first time, then I was rage rolling a bit, and
That's fair.
found me like a dozen wormholes. But yeah, if I want to, in the meantime, also want to place alpha characters in there, that was a bit too annoying for me. But there was free, like 7 days free Omega in the New Eden store a couple times. And when that was up, I pretty much scanned down a wormhole chain 6 jumps deep in as far as wide as possible. And while I was scanning even more wormholes, I was on the side putting like 1 or 2 characters at the same time into their new wormholes. That was kind of nice.
Why not just occupy one of these wormholes as you're doing it? Like, why do you still just operate out of Jeter or whatever? Why not become a wormholer during this process?
The logistics in the wormholes are annoying me a bit, let's put it that way.
The
And if you
logistics of keeping a structure fueled in the wormhole is annoying, but keeping 2,600 characters logged in every year is fine.
yeah.
Okay. I'm just checking. That's fine. That's fair.
He's got his
Everybody's got
definition
their
of
thing.
easy, or
Yeah,
they have their
because,
definition of
my
easy.
scouts, when they are logged out, they're 100% safe.
That's true.
And the structure, anybody can come in and poke at them like anytime they want. And yeah, one day logging in and seeing all my structures reinforced, that is not something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. You like to do annoying things on your own terms.
Exactly.
Fair enough. Last chance. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we close this down?
Well, unless you have another couple interesting questions, I don't have anything.
Well, I can always drag you on again, or like I said, people can post in the comments down below, and I'll bring it to your attention, and hopefully you can answer it, or they can talk to you in the Discord. But this has been a really fun chat. Thank you for dropping by, and quite the incredible accomplishment. Like I said, I think one way or another, as long as you keep playing, we're going to keep seeing you pop up.
Oh, yep, that's for sure.
Do you have any null blocks you want to be friendly with?
Well, if I'm friendly with some null blocks, then well, when I'm doing exploration, it doesn't really matter for me if they are new, positive blue or red to me, because.
But I mean, you're a very powerful tool for people. You know, we talked about 100 billion ISK. Like, do you have anybody that do you have any thoughts about how to capitalize on this stuff, or are you trying to keep it as neutral as you can?
I think staying neutral is best in that regard, because, and I think the GMs are already looking after me more than other people, let's put it that way. And I don't want to know on how many tickets I show up. So yeah, I
That's
try
fair.
to stay far away from any controversial things if possible.
Well, we will see how time goes on, especially with Gold Rush coming and stuff. The ability to know what's where at any given time is going to be incredibly valuable. So look forward to seeing you. And if you ever want to do something together, let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
All right, and that is it for my interview with Raicio Typho. Thank you once again for sitting down with me and chatting about all this. It was an incredible accomplishment. And while we were doing that, we managed to steal a site from a worm. So we just proved that you're able to steal a site and, you know, all that sort of stuff. But, you know, if you guys like this interview, if you have any questions for them, you can go ahead and post them down below and I will get their attention to come and talk about it if you're not watching this live. But then, yes, oh yeah, totally thief. Total thief. I'm such a jerk. But so yeah, you can also come into our Discord and say hi and all that sort of stuff. So with all that said, thank you to Rycio for coming and hanging out, and thank you all for checking it out. If you're watching this live, hang tight. Otherwise, thank you for checking out the stream or the video. Like it, comment, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And until next time, I've been Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden, and I'll see you in space. Ooh, okay. So now, friends, I do actually have one last final note about the Mecha Ball fit, which is that you can make one of two different changes. So if you are under a lot of newt pressure or any newt pressure, first of all, I recommend right-clicking on your auto-targeter and setting auto-repeat off, because you don't need to auto-repeat over and over again. You only need to use it when the spawn happens, and it does take capacitor. But if you do take a lot of capacitor pressure, you can turn off your EM shield hardener to regen capacitor, or you can even make swap this to a passive shield hardener, which makes it so it's even a little bit easier when it comes to your capacitor management. But it is true that you're going to want to set your auto-targeter to auto-repeat off, so that way you don't cap yourself out accidentally. So, yep, there we go. Now we'll figure out how I can stitch it all together to make a video. Yeah, Rycio, quite the bragging rights. Absolutely. Like I said, it's the kind of accomplishment that is not only incredible, but literally changes the calculus of the entire game after that fact, because it used to be that nobody had that information. Now somebody has put in the work to have that information, and that's pretty incredible. So, yep. I still want to plot out the J-codes on a 3D map. There was a point in time, and I thought Signal Cartel did this, somebody did this back in the day, where, so if you get system information from the API, it tells you the XYZ of the site, its system. And there's a little bit of confusion with it, if I remember correctly, but like, either way, you can sort it out and get it figured out for yourself. I think at one point it was doable with wormholes, but I think that got removed. The whole point of Project Compass was to attempt to do it using in-game mechanics. Hold on. I just looked up Anoikis 3D map, and the problem is that Anoikis actually has is a term in biology. There was a picture of what Anoikis looks like. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, this might be a 2D image. This is just a 2D image. Hold on, let me pull this up for you guys. So this is actually what Anoikis looks like if you were to like map out all of their positions. And I think it's like so if you pull up the map data for Eve, Anoikis is basically in this lower left-hand corner, like this big blank space out there. You can just kind of put this cluster. If you see like this blank space right here, this blank space right here is more or less this kind of brought down area. So Anoikis is like right in this area, if I remember correctly. You can do some weird stuff. One of the fun ones is that if you're in Anoikis and you set two different destinations in K space, then you can, if you do it correctly, you can see the route in space. But the key here is that none of this is canonically true. All this wormhole mapping stuff, when it comes to their actual physical location of Anoikis, is not like reflective of the actual like the in-universe location. This is the real reason why they always kind of undo it anytime somebody figures it out, like Project Compass or anything like that. Because the idea is that these Anoikis systems are far-flung and not even necessarily close to each other, theoretically. But they still have to, like, for the purposes of the game, they have to be somewhere. And so they are somewhere programmatically, but that doesn't mean that that's, like, where they are canonically. I know it's kind of confusing, but that is what CCP has said. And like I said, they've taken away at least two. I remember there's been at least 2 different methods to verify the physical location of Anoikis, and both of them have been dealt with. I'll link you the J-code map I found a while back. It's different. Okay. So this is an opportunity if we have anything else to talk about before, like I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to come in tomorrow, or I probably won't be able to stream tomorrow. I'm interested to know what kind of coverage of the Crimson Harvest you would like me to do. If I should do any of the other kinds of sites and show off videos of it. I have done lore videos talking about the Blood Raiders. I do want to talk about, I should make a lore video still about the presidential elections, and also, well, what's going on here with all these clone stuff. We're going to have to keep an eye on this. One of the things that is actually kind of frustrating is that we are, what, 3 or 4 days into this event, and there's no New Eden news about this zombie outbreak. You would think that, whatever's happening to these Null Prime clones, we should get some sort of news about it, I would assume, but we haven't. So that's kind of lame. Am I going to get the shuttle? I did get the shuttle. Hey, look at that. I'm going to drop the MTU then. See what happens. Is he going to shoot my MTU? Who is this guy? Fury Talos. 9 years, huh? Brave newbies from 2014. Okay, I'm going to race this guy, but then I'm going to pay him if I win. Yeah. No, I was more worried about if he was going to aggro the MTU. Let's see. What? Come on. Oh no, am I out of ammo? I am basically out of ammo. All right, well, that's a good reason enough to stop after this site, I guess. And it hasn't been a week yet, and yet the value of these loot has started to appear, which I find kind of interesting. Usually it takes a week for the value of the estimated value of the loot to update. Does anybody know why it updated early? Have they changed how often it updates, or did they do it manually for these? Because if you don't get 20 ventures, then even if you get the squall, it won't count. Well, yes, if you're trying to gather points, then you're basically like, I've only gotten 3 ventures so far. So if I kill the Squall, then no one's getting the points. That's true. Oh no, I didn't scoop up my thing. Fuck. Well, and I gave him the first shot. So we'll see if I win. I doubt it, but we'll see. I should have scooped up the MTU first. I should have done a lot of things. So now I'm just going to turn back around when the Null Prime Squall is at, like, yeah, here. We'll just turn back around right here, because if it counts, then the MTU will loot it. And I lost the race. I absolutely lost the race. Good for him. I bet if I had been a little bit more on point about it, I probably could have won the race, but not upset that I didn't. The Retribution does get quite a bit of damage, so that makes sense. I still get my Skitter component and 2 million ISK. Can still see the route in game from Wormhole Space screenshot posted on Discord. Yeah, you still can. They didn't fix that part, but it's relatively minor and hard to do. Hold on, let me... Where'd you post it? Oh, in the Eve Universe show channel. Hold on. Dang it. Come on. There we go. So we can see here, like if I zoom way in here, you can see that little line right there. That is his route in space. Can you even see it? Like, hold on. Let me try. Capture. Really? There. So you can see, like, I drew the line directly underneath it, so it might be hard to see, but yeah, you can definitely see the route in space even when you're in a Noicus, and that helps verify that they haven't moved a Noicus if you wanna do it that way. But again, like, this isn't officially recognized canonically. All right. Well, I think that should just about wrap things up, though. I know today's kind of a shorter stream, but I wanted to make sure to cover these 2 major topics and let you guys get ready for the weekend. Is there anything else I should be covering this? Is there anything else to talk about before we go? Am I forgetting anything? Even spotting that in the skybox isn't easy. I guess made for rice. Yeah, we found it a few years ago. But I have all skills which ship I need to prefer for this event. Like I said, I personally prefer the Mecha Ball, but the Coercer Navy issue has been doing just fine for Clue. But again, like, I don't know. They're not waiting for somebody to map it out, because, like I said, they've actively undermined any attempts to do so and has outright said that it's not canonically true. So the Class 2 Squall can drop a Consortium Capital Tractor Beam. Yeah, you can get, like, the Consortium stuff is very rare drop. I haven't seen any of them yet, but you can still get them. Ooh, Citus just spawned. That is one of the jackpots. Those Consortiums stuff was previously, I believe, only available from doing like the turn-ins during the Equinox event. You can use Control F9 on the character selection screen. What does that do? Looks like I'm going to be finishing this site with Hail, so we'll see how well that works. The other attempts have been using in-game exploits to do so, such as +hour locations, data mining, etc. Is Courser okay for Class 2? Yes, the Courser Navy issue that I posted, like I said, Clue has been doing it as an alpha clone. So, should be very doable. Just make sure you scoop up your mobile tractor unit before the guy spawns and don't leave it behind, and you should be fine. If you ever get overwhelmed, you've got the 2 things to blow up to help catch you up if you need to. But the Courser Navy issue should basically be as fast, if not faster, than the Mecha Ball at killing these guys. And you know you're doing good because you got to wait between waves. If you're not waiting between waves, then chances are things might be going wrong. Like I said, my Nurgle had only like 150 or so DPS to start like with before ramp, and because I kill things so fast, it's not ramping. So the Nurgle actually took too long to kill things. Did anyone else get the expired booster from the CCP Twitch drops? That's really funny. There was a patch note about the fact that the expired booster was dropping. I'm not sure about the Twitch drop part, but maybe that got fixed. I did see that there was a patch note a day or 2 ago about expired boosters dropping. Taking the J codes, which if they are star map coordinates, means that you should probably map them onto a 3D plane using real life star mapping. Yeah, so there is a whole thing about the use of the J codes, like why they're named that way, or if there is some sort of pattern in the way that the J codes are used and its relationship to like real life star mapping, but I don't know enough to give you a solid answer. But I do know that that is like, that's always been kind of a point of inquiry when it comes to this stuff. Well, yes. I mean, like, there's clearly a pattern, but whether or not that, like, means anything. Because, like, for instance, when CCP came out with the Eve source book, they came out with, like, a collector's edition version of it that had a plate that was very similar to the plate that was sent out on some space mission that ended up having a pulsar map on it. But the pulsar map that is in the EVE Online book is the same as the pulsar map, like the that we sent out into real life space. So chances are it's just a reference instead of something that's like meaningful. Because otherwise, like if you took it to its logical conclusion, it's a way of saying like, oh, well, actually New Eden is at the same location of Earth, because that's why you would make a pulsar map, is to like designate a place, you know, where a point is in 3-dimensional space using known, you know, major space phenomena, i.e. pulsars, as a point of reference. Like that's the entire point of it. But in the end, it just pointed to, or it wasn't like, it didn't point to anywhere. It was just the Earth one. So, yeah, I don't know. Grr, 2 neuters in a row. My poor capacitor. Maybe Earth is really hiding in Zarzak. There you go. Another Ravenous? So many newts! Still laughed when I saw that picture. Wait, which picture? Let me turn on my Eve sound effects too. Another neuter? Boo. Where they had Earth in Zarzak? I don't think I saw that picture. Shuttle? It's going to be time to switch to Fusion soon, or Hail soon. Let's see. Yep, here we go. Hail never fail. Posted the link to the forum post about placing the wormholes in a circle. Hold on. From Oruz to mapping JSpace a rabbit hole. Oh, that looks like a fun post. Yeah, the Jave assets, or not Jave assets, fuck. The whole thing about like the Anoikis mystery and stuff, and like everything from Oruz and stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. I've always wanted to kind of go back through and like pick through the Eric Jalan project to see what we can learn from it or what we may have lost from it. But yeah. The Oruz, like there's a whole bunch of stuff about like naming and stuff. There's this great post by CSP Drop Bear about it may not make sense at first and how the naming of things have like warped over time. He compared to the Oruz Oriznik Azobnik site. He compared it to the evolution of the word for jeans, denim, coming from denimes, which is like a place in Greece. It was like something about trade. But either way, the point is that like words evolve over time and CCP knows that. And so like a lot of this stuff, especially when it comes to Anoikis and even like Triglavian stuff and other stuff like that, is like you got to think about the fact that like these words are mutating over time. Oh my gosh. Oh, oh yeah. I remember that now. Hold on, let me pull it up. Oof, gotta get that guy. Hold on. So this was a picture from Vanguard, I think it was, where it said like it seems to be showing a picture of Earth, and it says that it's in Zarzak, which is pretty funny. Again, I don't think it canonically means anything, but you know, it is what it is. We just got the Orthrus spawn. Still doing fine. I should probably turn my EM hardener back on. Even without my EM hardener, like remember, this is a passive tank. So the tank is going to get stronger and stronger the closer it gets to 30%. So like I haven't even hit my final level of like passive repair yet. So I'm theoretically still just fine. What's the link? Yeah. We are gonna get ready to scoop the MTU. No bonus loot from this. Oh, nope, we get the we get the last shuttle. We'll still be able to scoop that in time. We've got 20 seconds. I think that if I remember correctly, the passive rep doubles at its maximum. I'm pretty sure the rule of thumb is that passive regen, like this, the listed passive regen is about half its maximum passive regen. Somebody can correct me on that though. I'm not 100% on that one. I think we can look up that. There's a graph. Hold on. I mean, I think technically speaking, Fusion is probably going to be a little bit better for killing the Null Prime Squall than EMP, but EMP is so much better. I mean, not Fusion, but Hail. But EMP is so much better for the rest of it. And even then, it's still, like, cheaper and has better tracking. If you are going to race somebody, it might be worth switching to Hail, though. Hey, here we go. 2 extra boosters, the hard shell, and some loot. Cool. Oh, and another one spawns. Just in time. We're going to just keep going then. If they're going to just keep on giving me sites, I'm just going to keep doing sites for now. Let's see. According to this post here, the maximum passive recharge is about... Wait. What? This chart doesn't make any sense at all. Because, like, this would imply that your recharge rate is 0 at 100, which is not correct. I don't actually know what the difference between what is listed and what your peak is. I've always just kind of expected it to be double. But now that I think about it, I don't know if I've ever verified that. It would be 0 at 100. I guess that's a good point. But does that mean that but my point is that so it cannot be both 0 and 20, because like it would be 0, right? Because it's a percentage. So if it was actually 0, then it would actually list it as being 0 if you were at full shields. So I'm talking about regen on shields, yeah. So clearly that's not the case. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't actually know what the relationship is anymore. I thought at around full shields, it takes forever for the last 1 hit point to regen. But like, oh, let's see. I mean, that doesn't change. I'm going to turn off my shield hardener, or my my EM resist, to take my shields down a little bit to see whether or not that changes the passive recharge shown at all. Because maybe that's average. Maybe it's like 10 HPS at 0 and like 25 at max? I legitimately don't know. If anybody does know, please let me know. We'll close this just in case, 'cause I don't think it refreshes live either. Right? Like 1400 EHP. Oh no, it does update live. So theoretically speaking, this would change if it was showing the correct information. But it's not. So yeah, I don't actually know. That's something to look into. Bonus, is it percentage? Well, that's what I'm saying. So like, that would make it 20 at base and 55 or whatever at max, which I don't think it's that much either. I don't think that's correct either. Maybe. The regen rep number never shows as EHP. Yes, it is raw. We are talking about raw amounts. Correct. We're not talking about resistances. Sorry, I acknowledge the fact that turning on the hardener changed the number of EHP that I have, which means that this... I was trying to check to see if this panel updates live, or if I have to open it up every single time, like the status of my ship changes, but it looks like it does update live because I was able to turn on the hardener and watch my EHP change. But I'm not seeing the HPS change. I'm also not taking that much damage. So maybe when we get to the double spawn, we're not... When we get to the double spawn, we aren't going to blow up one of the things. We're just going to muscle our way directly through it, give them a chance to kind of do some damage to me, I guess. The point of the matter is that it's got enough. It's got enough to make it happen. It's got so much tank that I actually swapped out one of the rigs for an explosive hardener to be prepared for the squall. All right, here's the double spawn. And I still have some stuff from the previous spawn. So great example. And my my EM hardener. Oh, my EM hardener is on. Let's turn it back off. So now I've got 35 or so DPS in, it seems, according to my thing. Like it's spiking up to that amount. My shields are now at 68%, 69%. Nice. And it hasn't changed my passive number at all. So, yeah, no, I don't actually know the relationship between the passive number shown and what your actual passive regen is at any given time. I'll have to double check. I thought I knew. Wait, did I never... Wait. Ah, I didn't drop my mobile tractor unit. What is even happening? So this is the spawn right after the double spawn. As you can see, like the Garmer spawns a little bit late on that one, just to kind of trick you. Don't forget that. Yep. That doesn't change anything. I'm just going to do the whole site without the EM hardener on. Percentage of average. Okay. So you think that that's the average shown? That could be it. So at 0, it's pretty close to 0. At max, it's 50? So basically it's between 0 and 50 HPS. Okay, that makes sense. That's a lot compared to the armor repper. But the armor repper the armor ship is going to be more likely to have good resistances, probably. I mean, that makes sense. I'm always hesitant to assume that the logical solution is the correct one and then just say it. One of the real problems about being where I'm at now is that, like, if I say something confidently, like I used to say things confidently, or I used to say things online as a way of getting myself corrected, you know? You know, if I say something wrong, then somebody will correct me. But the issue is that, like, I've become more and more like a primary source. Fuck! Countdown failure. No, no! Okay. Oof. Let's just blow up both of these. Get rid of everything. And then kill what's left. My shields are now at 50%. So I'm basically at maximum. So I totally messed that up completely. Still fine. Without even a hardener. While still missing a hardener. This is why I use the passive targeter, guys. Or the auto targeters. Because if you try to click on things, then you accidentally double click on things. And then it starts moving in that direction. And then you fail the site. Almost failed the site. Because I wanted to be fancy. Nice. Say with confidence, like they did not have a care of the attributes because they were going, man, Thrans, leave me alone. They screwed me over, not the other way around. No, that's true. I have to be careful what I say with confidence, even if CCP says something. That's why I give a lot of caveats, and I try to be very careful with what I claim. What a time for the worm to show up. He's not going to make it, obviously. But ooh. More drugs and an unlimited bloom satin skinner component. I do like that. And then another limited one and 10 million ISK. I like these sites. I'm going to keep doing them. But I think that's probably going to be it for today and this week. Get ready for the weekend. I'm still concerned that Upwell seems to be trying to make cheap capsuleers. It's not even that. So here's my theory, okay? I think my like with the different clues, I don't know if I talked about this last time, but my current theory is that the null prime is actually not a real infomorph. That using real people has been a limiter for Upwell, and therefore they are experimenting with creating an artificial intelligence, artificial infomorph that they can use for their workforce, right? As an expendable workforce. And I think that this is partially because of like the interference of the Deathless and whatnot. But the reason why I say this is because the doctor who is cited as being connected with this implant stuff, this Rudolph Huang, assuming that's the same person. Well, we've been violating AI law for quite some time. So this doctor who worked on this just received an award for their work on artificial intelligence. And they are the ones working on this new lattice for these null prime clones that theoretically would make this work. So I suspect that Upwell is experimenting with using artificial intelligence to augment infomorphs or even create artificial infomorphs for the purposes of staffing their clone forces. And that either the Deathless or the other has discovered this and has subverted it to cause the people, the clones that were associated with this, to go crazy, and hence this current event. Not 100% sure if that's what's going on right now. We could use some more information, but that's my guess. Yeah, the neural lattice sounds awfully close to the web-like stuff from the drifter brains. Yeah, so you know, the drifters are artificial sapients. They're artificial infomorphs. And I think, wait. Shoot, what's it called? Special edition. No, I thought that, wait, is there not? What are those things called? Slices? Are they slices or not? No, they're not slices apparently. So, brain, the word brain's in it, right? Thought I had them. No, there's, did I not keep any? Wait. Tecton, right? Hold on. Tecton forked packet. That's what they're called. Forked packets. While clearly synthetic rather than organic in origin, this data packet shows evidence of layered redundancy associated with a mind that has evolved or emerged from a simpler set of constructs. So these were pieces of the drifter brain that we found. And then, you know, a few months later, we get these things. Upwell cybernetic technology pioneered by Dr. Rudolph Huang is a fragment of a cybernetic neural lattice designed to regulate communications between biological systems and machine-linked augmentations. Closer inspections revealed signs of failure. If installed into a clone, the results would likely have been catastrophic. So yeah, we're going to keep an eye on this and keep a track of all this. We've been talking about the kind of the lore over the last few sessions that we've been talking about. You can go back and watch some of the previous videos. But today we did go over how to do this site super smooth, even as an alpha clone. Budget version as well as a non-budget version. So I hope that was a good time. And of course we had the interview with Rycio. So thank you once again to him. And thanks you all for you to hang out and participate and all that stuff. So I've been Ashrothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put even into context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Thank you guys so much for coming. And thank you, of course, as always, to my extra special supporters, all of you who decide to like, comment, subscribe, share it with friends, because that is how we get a more informed player base, and a more informed player base, a more literate EVE Online player base makes a better EVE Online. And I do want to give a big shout out to my Immortal tier supporters: 745 NPSI, Arydanika the Queen, Bad Boy Smooth, Eboleet, Erladis, Elange, Flash Gordon, May, Malak Starfire, Malin, Mercuton, Mayak, Nephilim, LM1, Sheesh, Susuro, and Rid. Thank you guys so much, and thank you all for hanging out. And until next time, I've been Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden, and I'll see you in space.
every city